This meeting is being held in accordance with the public laws of 1975, Chapter 231, and adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by notice sent as required press, Two River Times and Star Ledger, and posted in the main lobby of the municipal building and on the municipal website. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please.
Councilmember Jackson,
Here.
Councilmember Morandi,
Here.
Councilmember Sturdivant. Present. Councilmember Trigiano. Here. Councilmember Ballard
Here.
and Councilmember Ziprick.
Present.
All present.
Thank you. We have a few proclamations. The first one is for Pride Month. Whereas the borough of Red Bank has a diverse lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ community that includes people of many races, ethnicities, religions, and professions. And whereas diversity is a community asset that enhances and enriches the lives of all community members. And whereas the borough of Red Bank recognizes and honors the history of the LGBTQ liberation movement and supports the rights of all citizens to experience equality and freedom from discrimination. And whereas the borough of Red Bank observes Pride Month with a pride flag, the rainbow flag is widely recognized as a symbol of pride, inclusion, and support for social movements that advocate for LGBTQ people in society. And whereas the borough of Red Bank is committed to supporting visibility, dignity, and equality for LGBTQ people in our community. And whereas while society at large increasingly supports LGBTQ equality, it is essential to acknowledge that the need for education and awareness remains vital to end discrimination and prejudice. And whereas this nation was founded on the principle that every individual has infinite dignity and worth, and the borough of Red Bank calls upon its citizens to embrace this principle and to work to eliminate prejudice everywhere it exists. And whereas celebrating Pride Month influences awareness and provides support and advocacy for the LGBTQ community and is an opportunity to take action and engage in dialogue to strengthen alliances, build acceptance, and advance equal rights. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Red Bank hereby proclaims the month of June 2023 as Pride Month in support of the LGBTQ community, recognizing all LGBTQ residents whose influential and lasting contributions to our neighborhoods makes Red Bank a vibrant community in which to live, work, and visit. June is also Immigrant Heritage Month. Whereas generations of immigrants from every corner of the globe have built our country's economy and created the unique character of our nation. Whereas immigrants continue to grow businesses, innovate, strengthen our economy, and create American jobs in Red Bank, New Jersey. Whereas immigrants have provided the United States with unique social and cultural influence, fundamentally enriching the extraordinary character of our nation. And whereas immigrants have been tireless leaders, not only in securing their own rights and access to equal opportunity, but have also campaigned to create a fairer and more just society for all Americans. And whereas despite these countless contributions, the role of immigrants in building and enriching our nation has frequently been overlooked and undervalued throughout our history and continuing to the present day. Now, therefore, I, William Partman, Mayor of the Borough of Red Bank, proclaim that the Borough of Red Bank does hereby join the state of New Jersey in recognizing June 2023 as Immigrant Heritage Month. In witness whereof, I appear to set my hand this 31st day of June 2023. We're going to be doing a proclamation for Juneteenth at the next meeting, the 14th, and then the Juneteenth celebration is the 18th at Johnny Jazz Park. Hope you'll join us. Also, Barbara just let me know it is Gun Violence Awareness Month. We don't have a proclamation, but traditionally the first weekend in June is Gun Safety Weekend, and we encourage everyone to wear orange in support. Okay, presentations. Do we have any presentations?
Mayor, if I may, I wanted to ask that we take item number 23-144 out of order and put it in for presentation.
Sure. Would you like to do that now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'll second that.
We have to have a vote. Is that an all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Yeah. Fine. Hold it up and see it.
Speaking of that. Look, I think. Thanks, Mayor. Resolution number 23-144 in appreciation and acknowledgement of Cindy Burnham's efforts for the beautification and restoration of the senior center grounds. Whereas the Red Bank Senior Center is preparing to reopen after considerable rehabilitation on June 9th. Whereas Cindy Burnham, former council member and council president, has provided both sweat equity and financial contributions towards the restoration of the grounds. And whereas Cindy Burnham has invested untold hours preparing the property for landscaping and planting many of the plants herself. And whereas her selfless efforts to preserve the grounds and view for Red Bank seniors, staff, residents, and visitors alike will be enjoyed for years to come. Now therefore be it resolved on behalf of the Borough of Red Bank that this governing body does hereby express its sincere appreciation and gratitude for the work and dedication of Cindy Burnham and her contributions to the restoration and revitalization of the senior center grounds, and her significant financial contributions, I might add, are greatly appreciated by the mayor and council and all of the residents of Red Bank. Thank you.
Okay, time for public comments on,
To accept it.
what's that?
We need to vote to accept the request.
Okay, my bad, thank you.
No worries.
Councilmember Jackson,
An emphatic yes. Congratulations, Cindy.
Councilmember Morandi,
Yes, thank you, Cindy, for all that you did. It looks wonderful.
Councilmember Sturdivant,
Yes, and Cindy, thank you very much. Our town is better because of the efforts that you put forward, so thank you very much.
Piano,
Yes.
Councilmember Ballard,
Yes, and I just also want to show my appreciation for Cindy's hard work and tireless effort as an SOS lady and for going out there and doing the marvelous job you've done at the senior center riverfront. Thank you again.
Councilmember Ziprich.
Yes, and I also want to thank Cindy for her Herculean effort. I watched her carry pieces of furniture down the stairway over there. She also excavated quite a few artifacts while working tirelessly to make sure that the place was beautiful for when all of the seniors moved back in. And the junior seniors to come, right? So thank you for everything that you did. Thank you very much.
Okay, opening up the floor for public comments on agenda items only. This is only for agenda items.
Linda Hill. Linda Hill, 64 McLaren Street. I'm actually seeking to comment, I just want to make sure I get it right, 2023-21 about public records fees. Specifically, I just want to make the point that in a government where I think everyone on the dais has spoken about transparency, accountability for our local government, how important it is for our residents to be able to access public records. I do understand and appreciate the fact that our employees and perhaps contracted employees put in significant effort to enable us to be able to access this information. I'm concerned, though, about this particular ordinance, which would increase fees, and there's no cap on it, there's no limit. I assume that could even be attorney's fees, which are not cheap. And I worry that people who, I believe that we all should be able to access it, whether or not we can pay whatever fees are determined to be necessary. I really do appreciate what you're trying to avoid, but we don't have a problem yet. So, and there are ways to deal with Oprah requests that are considered specious, superfluous. So why not just wait until there's an actual issue to deal with it and support our residents' rights to have access to public information that we're able to access, regardless of whether it's police body cams, documents, whatever. So I ask you all to consider that and to not put restrictions on residents' rights to see those documents or view those body cam tapes. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Again, yeah. So just as background for the public and for the governing body, this is actually, special service fees are actually allowed in the state statute under Oprah. This is really defining how we're going to set that service fee in Red Bank for these particular requests. So it's not just going to be arbitrary, it's going to follow the ordinance. I don't, as the chief, I don't just determine how much it's going to cost. We calculate how many hours it'll take an officer or a clerk to redact these, and then that would be the fee. It doesn't include attorney fees or anything like that. It includes the hourly rate of whoever it is redacting it. To the extent that it's not a problem, it actually is a problem. We're getting flooded with requests for body worn camera footage. The most egregious is one who wants every DWI so that they can be posted to YouTube. It literally took one of our officers 3 days to redact enough video for one DWI arrest. So that's 3 days that an officer is either in on overtime or is being taken off the road and backfilled by a different officer on overtime so that he can produce this video. So it is problematic. It is, every police department in the county is dealing with it now. And they're mostly requests from people who are just placing these videos on social media. So this is a way to deal with it. It's allowed by state statute. And again, this just defines how we would do it here. The state statute already allows the clerk to set a fee for what we have to produce, or to charge a fee for what we have to produce. This is just making the council the one responsible for setting how that fee will be calculated.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
One of the other nuances that's in the state statute, it says the lowest, because it goes based off of the hourly rate of the lowest paid individual that can accomplish the job. So it's not like we're gonna go at, the highest ranking officer's rate. It's based off of the lowest hourly pay rate of the individual that is qualified to perform the task.
If you understand that.
Come up and use the mic.
We just come back up and like just so everyone can hear.
Sure. I do understand that, Chief. I appreciate your concerns, Ms. Reinertsen. I appreciate your concerns. I just think that there has to be a better way to do this. Now, what you're describing, Chief, something that took days of someone's time to do, to me seems specious. So, perhaps there's a way to do it if there are a certain number of requests made, or a number of hours, if that's what we're talking about, a video that has to be viewed.
This is what
I beg your pardon?
what it talks about. It's the number of hours. It's the number of hours that the video will take to redact.
So what I'm saying is, could there be a threshold? So if this is your third request in 6 months and it will require an officer a certain amount of time to do, then maybe that's a threshold. Okay, now we're going to start charging this individual. I ask you to just think about those people in Red Bank who may not be able to afford, I don't know what, 3 days worth of an employee's time is. And I'm not saying that particular example deserves, the response. But I really would hate for us to go down the road where, oh, I can afford to access public records and therefore I'm going to, and I could still make a specious request that would take you forever to look at. Or, are we going to be erring on the side of ensuring that people who have a genuine need and interest to access something are able to do so? So thank you for, providing context. I still believe that we need to do something else, whether it's a threshold, whatever it may be. So please consider that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Suzanne Viscomi, 25 Cedar Street. Just to piggyback on 23-21, just for clarification, when I was reading the actual ordinance, and from the conversation here tonight, it seems like you're specifically talking about the video clipping, not necessarily like emails or documentation. Is that correct?
Correct. This is about redacting body worn camera and dash cam footage specifically. It's not about the documents, the police reports. We already provide them.
Right.
And there's really no service fee at all for 99% of the time.
Agreed. And so I do it myself. So is it possible maybe have that first paragraph specifically say videos? It goes into subsections speaking about videos, but I think the first or second paragraph, I forgot to put it on, doesn't specifically mention videos. It doesn't mention it as a subsection.
So I believe the first subsection just states what the state statute already says, that municipalities or any government entity are allowed to charge service fees under those conditions for anything. It can be for documents if it's going to require enough research, normally not.
But that's why I wanted to codify that, because you're saying that we don't charge now, and
We can.
I agree, you can.
And in some cases we have, but it's when it's extensive research that's required or extensive time, but it does happen that we charge a special service fee.
My understanding, just so people understand the process, that there's a way to do a word key search on certain emails for certain requests, correct?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So hopefully it doesn't. So what do you consider extensive amount of time for a word search document?
No, not for a word search, just for documents that we have to produce. If it's going to take hours for an employee to gather all those documents, we're under the state statute, we're permitted to assess a special service fee. And in rare cases, we do. But in these body worn camera footages, every single one is taking hours to produce.
No, I agree. I think looking at videos is definitely time consuming and tedious, especially when you have to redact it. But looking using some kind of software, which I believe you guys do, to do a search on people's emails, that is pretty much computer done. There shouldn't be too much time versus exporting it. I believe we get like a zip file and there's not even paper needed. We get an email back to each other. So, all right, thank you.
Anyone else have comments on agenda items only?
Name is Donald Ellis on Highland Avenue, Red Bank. So I want to talk a little bit about the parking again on Spring Street. I know you spent a lot of time looking at this, and I have spent a lot more time also just trying to think things through. And what I was going to ask the council and the mayor to do tonight was to not vote to approve this yet. And the reason why I say that is that I don't think we've completely thought through all of the options. I absolutely think there are opportunities in a step process to solve some of these problems. As an example, we've got maybe 30 driveways on the Spring Street side. You've got obviously less on the other side. Maybe you got 60 cars that try to back out into the traffic. But on the other side, you got well in excess of probably 300 cars. They're going to try, although they're coming out forward, are going to have to try to come out, see around the traffic, because no matter what you do, they'll still be parked, within 10, 15 feet of a driveway. You got to try to see out, and Spring Street is pretty narrow. That causes you to probably have to swing wide enough to where you swing out into the parking space, access down into the drive pattern. So, and also, I know you were also proposing to only add 24 not 24/7 parking, but parking for say 3-hour limitation, but only between 8 AM and say 6 PM. The problem on Spring Street is at night. You know, by 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, the vast majority of the cars are gone over there. It's not really a big problem. It's mostly, you know, during those hours that we have the issue. So I don't want to take up a lot of your time tonight because I know you've thought about this a lot too. But all I'm asking is, don't necessarily pass this yet. What I'm looking for is a solution that benefits everybody, not just the street that I live on. The people that live on Spring Street got issues that we have to address. And I'm looking to get a balanced resolution in all of this. And I have a few ideas that I would certainly like to be able to talk through a little bit more with folks to say, you know, maybe there's a better option for all of this. Chief McConnell, when you were talking about the amount of parking that's out there, you know, I went out and did a count on the parking spaces on, you know, where it exists today. And like say between Ambassador and Highland Avenue, you got about 36 places or cars that you could park there. I actually took a look on the other side. And if you do only a modest amount of striping around the entry and exits to all of the, you know, driveways come out, I think you're going to have probably less than that number. And that's me just trying to eyeball it. I got to be honest, I didn't measure it, but I will. I just didn't get a chance to do it yet. So I think there are a lot of things to think through and just make sure that we get a balanced view on a solution that we think can work. So I just ask that you don't approve this tonight, table it for a discussion where the residents can talk with you about the potential options. And I don't even think we've had the opportunity to contact people in Green Tree yet that I'm aware of. Like nobody's really approached them. That's part of the root cause of all of this is they've got anywhere from, 25 to 60 spots that I count regularly that are open. They probably average at least 30 vacant spots, no matter what time of day I've ever gone through there. So that's another, I think opportunity at least to talk to them to see if they would work with us. So again, I'm asking you to just table it for now. Give us the residents on Spring and Highland to get a balanced view and a solution that I think will meet everybody's needs. So I'm hoping that you will entertain that tonight and not just pass something that I think will have a lot of consequences to changing the traffic patterns in our communities.
To be clear, I think they're two separate issues, right? One is the safety on Spring Street, and then the other is the lack of parking on Highland. Am I correct?
Well, I'm not aware of the safety side. I know it's been brought up. I don't know that there's ever been an accident with somebody backing out of their driveway. Maybe there has been.
Regardless of whether or not you think it's a safety issue, I just want to be clear, they're really two separate.
Sure.
They're two separate issues here.
Right. You're gonna have same thing, right? People park on the other side of the street. The residents that park on this side now have to cross the street to get to their house, just like the apartment residents, when they park on where they're parking today, have to go into the apartment. So I think either way, you got people crossing the traffic back and forth. And Spring Street, quite frankly, has just gotten a lot busier over time, especially now during the summer with the Riverwalk. We got a lot of vehicles coming up and down that street now. So
It seems to me that, just from the viewpoint of our professionals, I'm separating the two issues. They feel that it's safer to move the parking to the other side of the street. As far as the parking on Highland, we can see if the posted signs are going to work. We can continue to try. I know the chief has reached out to the apartments. We can continue that, that outreach. Now, this doesn't have to be a final thing. But as far as moving the parking, on the other side of the street, to me, I'm trusting the professionals in that regard.
Right.
In my opinion.
Sure. No, I completely get that. But I would also say we never did a traffic study. We never did a parking house. I know the traffic engineer and he's got a lot of experience doing that. But there are other steps that you can take to truly quantify, really what's going on there. So I would just ask that, you table that issue, wait, because the parking itself, I believe, is just going to get a bit worse.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
John Dykeman, 232 Spring Street. I am on the west side. This is regarding following the questions here. And that was my question. I guess I'm coming in right now a little late, but why is it safer to move the parking to the other side? I mean, I live on the west side where the parking, I pull out, it's an inconvenience, but it seems like we're just like fostering that onto somebody else now, like. There's less driveways, yes, but to his point, higher volume of cars coming out of those apartment complexes for sure. I mean,
Sure. So the thinking was between the police department, the fire department and the traffic engineer was that although there's a higher volume of vehicles on the east side of the street, there's a much lower volume of vehicles backing into traffic. Almost all of them are exiting, as the gentleman said, they're almost all exiting forward.
right,
So, and to everybody's point, there are a lot of vans and larger vehicles parked on Spring Street. If you're backing out, I mean, you know better than I,
Right.
if you're backing out, it's extremely difficult to see past a high profile vehicle. Whereas if you're pulling out, you have a little more ability. You can set back a little ways in the driveway and see behind it. You can pull out a little bit slower. If you're going
Absolutely.
backwards, you're
Yeah.
blind for about.
which a lot of residents do back into their driveway to pull out forward facing. And it isn't easier. It really isn't, because like you're saying, now your line of sight, whereas if you were backing out, you had about 6 feet of your car to look through those other cars. You're backing out forward, your line of sight is directly into a car. So it's not necessarily safer to come out forward facing, especially with a commercial vehicle. I think the solution to help everybody, whatever side it's on, ban overnight commercial vehicle parking. I mean, that makes the most sense to me. I feel like we're just, especially what he said, like, are the Green Tree people really gonna show up here? Are the, the terrace apartment people? I mean, they're not gonna come and say anything. I mean, I'm a resident on that side who's saying like, I don't mind them parking in front of my house. It's not a big deal. They need to park somewhere. But I just think we're just pushing this problem onto somebody else as opposed to just, and it's a big change. I mean, we're gonna change something in light of safety. It better be safer.
Well, it's also the hydrant access.
Right, there are other less important issues, or not important, but less pressing issues, like the hydrants being on that side of the street.
Okay.
Where the utility poles are. The utility poles are currently on the east side of the street. They're very close. They occasionally get hit by a car that's
Totally.
driving by because the road is narrow. So there are other issues.
Totally.
That's just what we talked about, but
I mean, and that's also like selfishly one of my concerns is that right now, like I have little kids, they play in the front yard. That line of parked cars is a buffer to that traffic, and everybody's driven down Spring and they know if you're driving on that side, you are on that curb line. I mean, your right tire is like you. So, I mean, that's not necessarily a safe side to walk down. You want to walk down the side with parked cars, but so, I mean, that's just my alone, like, I think of it that way with my kids in the yard, and I wouldn't want to miss that either. But if it is ultimately safer on every other front, then all for it. But just wanted to voice that it isn't a universal, west side wanting it switched, so it's easier for me to pull out of my driveway.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Barbara Vaccarelli, and my residence is 248 Spring Street. And for me, it's all about safety. I am there outside on the porch majority of the time, even if it's cold weather, as long as it's not raining. And I see families parking on the west side, crossing over to the apartments. And the apartments are full. There are, the majority of residents who live on Spring Street are in those apartments. And to me, I hold my breath sometimes when I see, the person who's ever driving, when I see them open the door, because cars are whizzing by, and then they're getting their children out, they're getting their groceries out and packages, like, certain things. And so that concerns me. The other thing that the chief had brought up is the fact that the fire hydrants are on the west side. And to me, to have the fire department go unencumbered, right, and to be able to do their jobs more safely is really important. And then there's the fact of large vehicles going in and out of the complexes, such as DPW. And again, if there's something in the apartments that needs to be addressed by the fire department, they've gone up on curbs, they've cracked sidewalks. And while that's not the biggest safety concern, if somebody is walking down there, they can only swing over so far because of the parked cars to get into the complexes. So it does create quite a bit of difficulty. So I'm really concerned about that safety. I see families coming in and out all the time and crossing the street. So thank you for listening. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Good evening, Ann Amato, 28 Highland Avenue. So I just wanted to visit again this parking situation. A couple of issues here, obviously. Safety, of course, is number one. Living on Highland, we, aside from the safety factor, we have the nuisance factor, of course. As we've discussed, we have a lot of overflow from probably Green Tree. We're blaming it on Green Tree, but who knows? Anyway, but a couple things. I think one easy fix is the commercial vehicle situation. I mean, to me, that's just unacceptable that we have a lot of large vehicles probably that are not registered within Red Bank. I mean, I feel it. I find it difficult to believe something can't be done about that. I think that would be a huge help. Number two, something that just came up this week. Well, it's been ongoing, but it really hit this week. We have what I would consider an abandoned car now on Highland. The police were called by one of my neighbors. It's missing a front bumper. It's missing a front license plate. And we were told that there's nothing that can be done about it. And I would love to know what the guidelines are. I mean, because to me, that would just mean anybody could park on any street anytime and leave their car there for months at a time. I mean, there just seems to be no guideline, no deadlines. So, if you can tell me now, or if someone could look into what are the rules on that? That seems crazy, especially something that's missing a bumper and is aesthetically displeasing, to say the least. No license plate. There's something wrong with that. So what can we do here about that?
So the vehicle has to be inoperable. So missing a part doesn't make it inoperable. It has to be broken down, like, 4 flat tires, doesn't work, doesn't run, and left for over 48 hours. It also does have to be registered. So it does have to have license plates. So if there's a vehicle without license plates, we can remove that from the roadway. But if it's just unsightly, that's not abandoned.
So, but just to back up, unsightly or not, does that mean anyone could park on our street or any street? And as long as the vehicle looks like it would run, they could maybe have a, 8th or 9th car in one household, but just decide to park it on the street and leave it there for months at a time.
Yes.
Well,
if it's
actually
time limited street.
not under the new ordinance,
Okay.
right? Because you're going to have parking limits. So at that point, right?
Right, on this particular street, it would not be allowed anymore because there's a time limited ordinance, but not every street in Red Bank, not every street in
Okay, so,
Jersey has a time limit.
so I'm behind then. So we are going to have a time.
Right, well, in this ordinance, if it
Okay.
passes, it includes time limited parking.
Okay.
I think and correct me, let me just look real quick, right? Do we have anything here about, register, having parking passes for resident? Do we talk about resident parking?
So resident parking is just, you can obtain a sticker for resident parking, then you're exempt from the time limit on that particular street or area.
So the flip side would that be if the vehicle is owned by someone
Who lives there,
who lives there?
On that street.
Right, on that street.
That's right. Okay,
or close to that street.
yes.
But did you say it did not have license plates?
No front one anyway.
Oh,
Well, yeah, that has to have no plates. to be
Yeah.
abandoned.
all right.
So anyway, thank you.
Okay, thank you. See a hand in there. Yes, sir. There.
Frank Vaccarelli, 248 Spring Street. Mr. Mayor and council members, thank you for allowing me to speak. Mr. Mayor, I think you hit the nail on the head in the beginning, and I believe Don agreed that it's 2 issues. It's a problem, for Highland Avenue residents, and the Spring Street one is the safety issue. In December of 22, when I was here with a meeting, one of the fire chiefs was with us, and I explained to him about the safety, about the fire trucks and moving the cars over to the east side, making the turn, and the fire hydrants all being unencumbered. He said, up until that point, I didn't care either way if they left it the same way. He goes, but you made a good point, and he looked into it and he said it was correct. They can just about hug the curb and make that and negotiate the terms a lot easier. And you know that in an emergency, time is valuable. So I just wanted to say that, and like my sister had brought out, I've seen time and time again, most of the residents are living in the apartments, and excuse me, they'll come out. And sometimes, unfortunately, they'll take their kids out on the side, but that traffic's coming. And anybody who lives on Spring Street knows that they're not doing 25. That is the big issue. I'm saying they're doing 30, 35. Sometimes I get there and I yell and scream, and I know someday my wife said, you need to get beat up, but I want to slow them down. And the other thing is, I didn't want to show the pictures and waste time, but I have to get out there every day to get my wife out of that driveway or my sister, because you can't see. And we're pulling out, we're not backing out. Thank you for your time. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ready.
PO Box 2074. Just want to make a comment about the commercial vehicles. How come the foot of Sunset was a landfill? Come, you can't dig that, cap it, and put stones and stuff in there. Let all the contractors and whatnot, commercial vehicles park down there and you charge them. Ten Falls used to do it. You couldn't park on the streets, but you had to pay a fee to park on the borough's property. Y'all could fence it in and put it down there, and everybody can park their commercial vehicles, and they get a spot and park down, just like you do the boat marina down there. They pay a fee, $500, $400 a year, and the borough can make money. Just want to say that.
Yeah, thank you, Grady. And actually, I'm not going to comment on it because it's not on the agenda item, but we're working on all these solutions. So, limiting the parking, we have to increase the hours. We can look at that. We're talking about getting resident permits. We're talking about finding a place. I don't know if the solution is to be banning commercial vehicles. Maybe we're banning trailers to start, and trying to find a place where they can park those, because my guess is, on the one hand, you have this safety issue that everyone's talking about. It's not fair for someone to be taking up, however many spots it is with your truck and your trailer. On the other hand, these are our neighbors who are trying to make a living and who are, so I appreciate the dialogue from everybody. I really do, because I think that nothing is final. I mean, the safety issue is one issue. The parking is another issue. I want to stress that again. I think the parking is something that we can continue to work on and try to come up with a solution. I mean, listen, if we finally hear back from the apartments and they're willing to do something, maybe that, maybe whatever it is, it's something we continue to work on. I didn't want you to think that, we do this and we're walking away from it. So, yes, ma'am.
Good evening. I'm Mary Kaufenberg, and I live on 32 Highland Avenue. I think I spoke with Jacqueline Sturdivant, and I think I talked with one of the other council members. It's a real problem. Spring Street is too narrow. People are speeding there. I mean, sometimes I've heard they knock each other's rear view mirrors off as they're going past each other. I think it's a real problem that needs further study. And I think moving the cars from one side of the street to the other is not going to solve that problem. It really has to have further study. So I'm really seconding the hope that you will table the vote and that we will have more discussion. You've heard so many people with different ideas about the problem and how to solve it, or at least what the problem is as they see it. And I think we just need more discussion with people who live on Spring Street, people who live on Highland Avenue, to find a really reasonable solution to a problem that I see other streets in Red Bank where you cannot park on either side of the street. I mean, there are streets where that happens, and they're wider than Spring. So, I mean, I think we're trying to put too many things into this very tight situation. So I'm asking that you table it and let us have more input, more discussion, and come to a really good decision on what will solve the problem for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Hold on one sec. Did you want to speak as well, or?
Yeah, I just.
Yeah.
Good evening, Karen Sesney, 221 Spring Street. I've also had the pleasure to speak last time. And I guess I'm just echoing obviously everybody's thoughts, and I think transferring it to west to east is just simply transferring the problem. I've been there 12 years and I've never seen or heard of an accident. I am concerned about everybody's safety. And my only other question would be, how long have this fire hydrants and the utility poles been on the west side of the street? And it's always been parking on the west side of the street. So why it's an issue now is a little odd to me and concerning. I don't know why that would be the case, but again, I just think we need more time to evaluate the whole situation, how it would accommodate everybody that lives on Spring. And again, the crux of the issue is the apartment parking. And I think there needs to be something done with those people and to utilize those spaces, because it would eliminate a lot of the issues on Spring and Highlands. Thank you.
Thank you. I saw you, yes.
Hey folks, my name is Anthony Barron. I live at 135 Harding Road. I just want to kick off with one question. And I'm a latecomer to this, so apologies, because I know you guys have thought about this for a long time. But why now? Was there a crash or an incident or some specific safety issue?
We have a crash history there, but that was not one specific accident that led to this. It was really brought to our attention by residents of Spring Street who pointed out difficulties they were having with some of their safety concerns. That started the conversation.
Makes sense. So I can't add a ton, just a couple maybe points to help to enrich. One is you will have people crossing the road either way, so I think that argument is a wash. Two is clearly there's many thousands of people living on the east side, and I hear that you've made efforts to connect with them, but there's very few people in this room. Have they been represented in this discussion?
What's the question? That wasn't clear.
People living on the east side of Spring Street being represented, do we feel appropriately? Or is it just
we've had a couple of people
on the west side who said that there's a problem?
I think we've had a couple of people from Highland. I don't know of anybody that was on the east side of Spring that came and spoke.
Oh, yeah.
There's thousands. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. And then the final thing, maybe you may not be aware of this, but when we talk about safety, so I live on the corner of Spring and Harding, the last road. And when we back out, we have cars turning right on green and right on red, heading east out of Red Bank, like heading towards Rumson. They're coming around the corner and they're hauling. We've almost been hit many, many times backing out of our own driveway. And we live on the east side, to be clear. To the point where if we're backing out, we may have a car just be frustrated and overtake us on the wrong side. It's unbelievably dangerous. Now, the cars parked on the right-hand side of the road do help a little bit to slow that. And four-way stop is great. But before the four-way stop, it's nuts. If you remove the cars from the right-hand side there, I think it's going to be really, really crazy on that corner. But I appreciate I'm a little unique because I'm the one who's right up on the corner. Yeah. That's the last point. I know that there's another ordinance about lead. I don't know the detail. I just want to make one comment, which is we do have possession of our lead connector in Spring Street. There is lead in Spring Street. I think maybe that's been recognized. It wasn't for a long time, but that's my last comment. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to see if anyone else has to. Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Alberto La Rotunda, and I live at 42 Spring Street. To give you a little background on this situation, well over a year ago, I leafleted personally every home facing Spring Street from Branch Avenue to Harding. To notify them that a group of residents wanted to get together and discuss these issues about traffic issues. And out of that, and this included the apartment complexes apartments facing Spring Street. And out of that, a handful of people replied, which is what made up the core group, which we then approached Councilwoman Morandi on these issues. And we bounced around several different ideas, but they all boiled down to was the from our experience. Now, myself, I've lived on Spring Street for nearly 30 years. Some of my neighbors have lived there even longer. We have the distinct impression the majority of people that park on Spring Street come from the apartment complexes on the east side of Spring Street, and they have to literally cross the road or they have to make K-turns to park on the west side. There is a very big difference between the issues of Spring Street and the issues of Highland Avenue. That is the volume. There is a considerable amount of vehicles that have their mirrors torn off. And I personally have witnessed, not recently, over the years, many collisions on Spring Street, sometimes in the evening. One spectacular one where a car literally flipped onto its side. And they had to take, the fire department had to put the guy out of a car that was sitting on its side. So the issue about the parking, I mean, we could do many different engineering studies and it will vary going back and forth. The main thing is that you have people that need to pull out of their driveways. You have people that are crossing the road. You have issues of public property being damaged. Now, Spring Street just had a major renovation of the road and the sidewalks. Some of those sidewalks where the driveways are entering Green Tree Apartments and maybe some of the others have already been damaged by garbage trucks that cannot enter and exit properly. They have to literally climb onto the sidewalk to exit or enter the driveways. So, and that's public property being damaged, money being wasted. So I just want to voice my support that we need to go forward. Everything else is the fine tuning that can be done. But we have to take a first step. And it seems the logic of the folks that we've been discussing this with is to make the first move is to move the parking to the east side where the majority of people are already from. So thank you very much. And I wait your decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments?
Changes investors.
Again, no one else is going. We normally don't let you go twice. But
It's just a preventative measure. If somebody's wondering why safety now, I mean, I think I see these people, I don't see anyone crossing on the road.
all right, you either got to come up or.
I know, I just wanted to be. Okay, I don't see
And you
people.
just have to state your name.
Barbara Vaccarelli, 248 Spring Street. I don't really see anyone crossing from east to west. It's always west to east. And if I got it right. Where the parking is now, people are crossing to the other side. I don't see the need for the others because if they're residents, they have a driveway. And if they're so it's mainly the apartments. So they have to park on this side. And had I known or had it come to mind, but it was actually a neighbor who said a fire truck had difficulty getting to the hydrant, I think across from Spring Terrace. So for me, it's a preventative measure. It's not like, oh, all of a sudden I thought about safety, but I didn't realize the difficulty that the fire department could have.
Thank you. Anyone else have any public comment on agenda items only? No, okay.
Anyone online there?
Oh, thank you. All right, can I have a motion to close the public comments?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we have minutes from 3/23/2022, 3/28/2022, 4/26/2023, and 5/10/2023. What's that? We got to do them individually, okay. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes and reports from 3/23/2022?
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Mayor, if I may. And I knew Laura was gonna correct this, but there were several members that were not on council.
Right.
I think that's why we're doing them, yeah, individually.
So we'll need abstentions.
Oh, yeah, and on that first one, do I have any abstentions? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes reports from 3/28/2022? So moved. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions? I have a motion to approve the minutes and reports from 4/26/2023. The,
So moved.
right, can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes and reports from 5/10/2023?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
First up is an ordinance, 2023-20, ordinance of the Borough of Red Bank, County of Monmouth, New Jersey, amending and supplementing section 680-60. Schedule XXVI, but to say in Roman numerals. 26. Mine's just right, 26. Restricted parking for handicapped persons.
So moved.
There a motion? All right, thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
We have a roll call.
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Councilmember Morandi,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturdivant. Yes. Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Councilmember Ballard,
Yes.
and Councilmember Zikrich.
Yes.
I know it was, the public hearing will be June 14th, and we do this periodically. If there's a resident that needs a handicap parking spot in front of their house, we just have to amend the ordinance. Ready, will you let Ronnie know that it's, I don't know, thank you. Okay, next up for introduction, 2023-21, the ordinance of the Borough of Red Bank, County of Monmouth, New Jersey, amending and supplementing chapter 130 records public, article 1, section 1, fees. Is there a motion to approve on introduction?
So moved.
Have a second? No second. So what is that? If you, does that mean it's being tabled? It's just pass. Okay. Motion has failed. Next up for public hearing adoption, 2023-09, ordinance of the Borough of Red Bank, County of Monmouth, New Jersey, amending and supplementing section 680-35, schedule 4, time limited parking. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing on this ordinance only?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Anyone else want to add anything on the amendment we were just, the ordinance we were just discussing?
Members of the public?
What's that?
Yeah, members of the public?
Yeah. Yeah, we're open to public hearing, so that's what I'm saying. Any members of the public want to comment again on this ordinance? It's procedural.
What is the ordinance? What does it state? Like, meaning there's gonna be certain hours, talking about Spring and Highland? Or
Yes.
general?
Yeah.
So what are you proposing?
So, Mayor, if I may, if you would like to make a comment or make any inquiries, you can come up to the mic at this point in time. That's why we're opening up to the public. So if you have questions, feel free. Ask them at the mic.
Right, procedurally. Karen Sesney, 221 Spring. So I don't understand what exactly, okay, so now I have to get my glasses.
You want mine?
Okay, so Spring Street, it's like between Front Street and.
And this was on the website. When was it published on the?
No person shall park a vehicle drive streets or parts of streets.
Right.
Between East Front Street and Harding Road. Okay, and on Spring Street, west side between Harding Road and Red Bank, Little Silverboro. So you're saying no parking on either side? if I'm understanding this.
So in summary, it's moving the parking, kind of what we were discussing. It moves the parking south of Harding Road to the east side of the street, where it's currently on the west side. It doesn't change anything on the north end from Harding Road to Front Street, remains as is. And then it sets a 3-hour parking limit
On Spring and
on
Highland,
Spring Street.
between the work hours of 8 to 6, where everybody's at work. So it doesn't solve the problem in the evenings where primarily the cars are there. Or the crossing issue for that matter, when the cars are parked there and the people are crossing the street. So I don't think this resolves anything, quite frankly. That's my opinion.
Yeah, Donald Ellis on Highland Avenue. I'm sorry, I apologize for coming back up here again, but just on that particular issue, I think there may be some options there, but she's correct that, 3-hour parking, the parking issue on that street is never during the day. It's like empty. There's nobody crossing back and forth between 8 and 6. Where all you talk about all the crossing occurs is generally like when people are coming out at about that time to go to work, or when they're parking their cars there and coming back home. So, one of the things that we had originally proposed was make that 3-hour parking 24/7 unless you're a resident. And I think that was one of the things that we had proposed that would solve the issue. That said, look, if you're a resident, you can park there 24/7 and be okay with that. But if you just leave it to where it's, during the daytime hours, you're not really solving the safety issue, in my opinion. People still have to cross back and forth when those cars that need to get to their vehicles. So that's why I was hoping you would, take a look at that as having the 24/7 and then the resident parking passes on either side, however you're gonna do it.
Thank you, Don. Yes, sir.
Again, Albert La Rotunda, 242 Spring Street. I just wanted to make a comment to Mr. Ellis's comment about the parking and about the 3-hour limit. The benefit of a 3-hour limit is, in my view, to reduce the possibility of people parking continuously day after day, week after week. The issue is the enforceability. I view this as a type of law in which you have it on the books. It's up to the residents to report if they believe there's a violation. And that is self-policing in this sense, because we can't expect that our town is going to have parking people patrolling Spring Street and Highland Avenue continuously, looking and marking cars as if it was a downtown district. So to me, this is almost like a self-policing type of situation, where if I see a wreck that is parked in front of my home with an expired inspection sticker, but the person only moves it, in the evening occasionally, that then I can call up the Red Bank Police Department and say, look, this car has been parked here already 6-7 hours, and they've been doing it routinely. So that's what I see as the utility of this type of law. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on this ordinance only? Okay. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing on this ordinance only?
Moved.
I have a second. Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2023-09? Anyone? Bueller?
So, I'm sorry, Mayor, which ordinance was that?
2023-09, the ordinance we're talking about moving the parking on Spring Street from one side to the other.
Yeah, move it.
What was that?
So moved.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Councilmember Morandi,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturdivant,
No.
Councilmember Trigiano,
Yes.
Councilmember Ballard, Councilmember Ziprich.
What is it?
It was a tie.
Was that 3? Yeah.
Yes, Sturdivant.
So on balance and it said no.
You have a tiebreaker, sir.
Wow, my third vote, that's very rare. Jeez. I'm gonna vote yes.
It passes.
I want to thank everyone again for their input. I agree with you. It does not completely solve the problem. I think this is going to be an ongoing process. I mean, the reality of it is, if these are all residents from the apartment parking there who can get a resident pass, the 3-hour parking or the 24-hour parking is not going to make a difference. Sounds like most of them are parking there legally at night. I think that the issue of coming up with a solution for commercial vehicles and being able to utilize the apartment parking lots are going to be some of our best options, which we will continue to pursue. So thank you all for participating in democracy.
And as I had stated in the past, my vote was for hydrant access.
Okay, public hearing adoption. This is 2023-19. Ordinance of the Borough of Red Bank, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 695 Water and Sewer of the Borough of Red Bank Code by adding a new article entitled Mandatory Replacement of Lead Service Lines within the Borough of Red Bank. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing on this ordinance?
So moved.
A second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone have any questions about the replacement of lead service lines ordinance?
Mayor and Council, Alberto Blau Rotunda, 242 Spring Street. Now, some of you may be aware that I was somewhat of an initiator on this issue about the lead service lines going back at least 3-4 years ago. I had a service line that was leaking in front of my home, which was dug up. And that's when I discovered that it had a lead component, lead connector. They call it a gooseneck, and I was at council meetings concerning this. Primarily the issue about the cost that this connector was actually connecting to the main, and it was underneath the road. It was not technically on my property, but it was underneath the road. I eventually ended up paying for the cost of this service line because at that time the borough ordinance required that if you were a homeowner, you were responsible for the replacement and maintenance of your service lines from your home all the way to the main. And even though I wanted to debate this issue and prolong it, but I felt I was justified. I eventually was coerced into paying that because the bill that was assessed for replacing the line was put on my water bill. And then I was threatened basically through borough ordinance to pay for that. Otherwise, it was going to go up for a tax lien. So anything involving replacement of the water line would go on your utility bill as an unpaid utility bill. So to me, the main issue with this, and I welcome the fact that the town has finally recognized that there is an issue with literally hundreds of homes here that have lead connectors. This was an issue I brought up years ago. But to me, it astounds me that now by having this measure, you are requiring people who have replaced their service line, like myself and others at their own cost, to now basically subsidize, because this involves, I understand, a bond. Subsidize the replacement of other folks' water service lines. So I am basically asking, and I haven't completely read the complete ordinance, but the gist and the spirit is that the financing here is an issue. Because anyone here who is a Red Bank property owner who has paid these costs, and I know there's people all over town, because I have, requested public records in the past of those people who were charged for having their service line replaced. And by the way, at that time, I don't know if it's ever changed, there was only one contractor in the town that could replace the water service line. And so there was no competition involved in the cost. So I ask that this ordinance be reviewed in the sense that one, whether it's just to ask everyone to pay for others' service line, and two, whether there is any real price competition. Because at one time, and maybe it still is the case, there was only one sole vendor to replace those service lines. They had to be licensed, they had to be bonded. There was a whole series of things that you look at these aspects. Because this now affects every taxpayer in town, because you would be literally getting bond, you would be issuing a bond for these expenses. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to comment on this ordinance only? Okay, motion to close the public hearing of this ordinance only. I mean, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2023-19?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Councilmember Morandi,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturdivant,
Yes.
Councilmember Trigiano,
Yes.
Councilmember Ballard,
Yes.
and Councilmember Ziprich.
Yes.
Okay, next up are a resolution 23-132, public hearing and adoption of the 2023 municipal budget. Very good.
Garcia.
Hi, good evening, everybody. This is for the adoption. It'll be a public
Just get
hearing.
A little closer, just
yeah.
so someone can hear you.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'm Tom Seaman. I'm the finance officer. The finance committee and everybody in the council had input on our 23 budget. It's a total budget of $25,911,556.24. Of that is $14,574,278.24 as the amount to be raised by taxation. I think the idea, is just to open the meeting up to the public for a public hearing. I can answer any questions. I don't know if you need any more overview. We had a nice public forum on the budget a few weeks ago. I think we went into a lot of detail. The budget presentation's on the website. If anybody has questions, I don't know, Mayor, if you need to officially open this up to the public.
We'll do that to play it safe. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing on the adoption of the 2023 municipal budget?
So moved.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, public. Anybody have any questions about the budget? Yes. Is that mic working too, Aaron?
I'll go this one here.
I'll see. You want to give it a test and. Yeah, it's working.
Linda Hill, 64 McLaren Street. My question is with regard to the perhaps a state forgiving or discounting of senior citizens' property taxes. I know that Craig Kaufman has introduced that and he's supporting it. And I wonder what sort of effect that might have on Red Bank revenue if it were to pass. And if anybody has looked into that, I don't know, I guess it depends on how many senior citizens would qualify for that reduction. But I just wanted to know how significant that effect would be on our revenue and of course our budget.
I'm not sure the exact number. I'm not the tax collector, but the amount of seniors, I don't think as much as it used to be because of the restrictions on it with a $10,000 cap on certain income and exclusion of maybe pension. But I don't think that law is going to be in effect right away. And then if that happens, then the people would go exempt and then it'd be absorbed by everybody else. in their taxes.
Then would that mean there's just a new assessment or?
Well, the assessed, you'd have a certain code on the taxes with, like right now, a disabled vet, totally disabled will not have to pay taxes, and that comes up, and the tax collector and myself, we make an adjustment, and it's absorbed because we have, percentages of collections, and if hopefully we're collecting more than the prior year, so we do cover that. In the cases, if you have a 90% or under collection rate, you could have a problem. But right now, with a few instances where that comes up, it does not hurt our overall collections and our closeout of the year to surplus.
Okay, thank you very much for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and just for further comments on that, that's completely up in the air. There's not even any clear appetite for that currently at the state level. There's tons of bills like that if you want to look into it. For example, there's a bill that I'm interested in. There's multiple bills that I'm interested in that pertain to somebody's a volunteer firefighter or EMT, that they would get some relief on their property taxes if they lived in a municipality where they're serving and volunteering. I believe there's multiple bills. One offers $500 in relief. One offers $1,000. Craig Coughlin's bill, the maximum is $10,000. It's called Stay in J, if anybody's interested in looking into that. But as of right now, there's no clear appetite. But if it were to happen, it would start January 1st, I believe. Oh, boy. It would be January 1st, 2025.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have any comments on the budget questions? I guess it was a thorough meeting last time.
Good.
Right, then can I have a motion to close the public hearing on the 2023 municipal budget? Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are we just now making a motion to adopt? Yeah, I have a motion to adopt the 2023 municipal budget.
Oh.
Have a second? Roll call. Roll call.
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Councilmember Morandi,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturdivant. Yes. Councilmember Tridiano,
Yes.
Councilmember Ballard.
Before I vote yes, I just wanted to give my heartfelt thanks to our CFO, Tom Seaman, and our chairwoman, Angela Morandi, who worked tirelessly. And I mean, she went through every detail of that budget, as Tom can attest. And she got this tax rate down to the lowest I've ever seen. So kudos again to you guys, also to Darren, you were in on those meetings. I want to thank you guys for your efforts, and I vote yes.
Well, thank you for everybody working as a team. It's a great team effort. Thank you very much.
And Councilmember Ziprich.
I too, Tom, want to echo Michael's sentiments. Thank you to Angela, the chief, the entire team. This is my 15th budget that I've worked through, and I will happily vote yes because it was phenomenal and you guys all did a great job.
Thank you very much. Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
We have items on the consent agenda. I want to point something out, though. I know, we never voted on this, but there was a resident, maybe it was you, who just said we have a large item to kind of treat that one separately. So I noticed there's one here, 23-136. Just before we discuss it, I'm assuming that's just the final payment for municipal parking lots.
Yes, I'm not sure. There may be a punch list payment coming up after this, but this is the last large payment for the improvements to parking lots between Mechanic Street and Linden Place to our contract. Are substantially complete with a couple of small items that they have to, I think, touch up, but they came out pretty nice.
They did kind of nice, yes. Okay, so then, so one other thing, if you note at the bottom of the consent agenda, there was an item NJ resolution of support for municipal aid that's being pulled. It's a New Jersey Department of Transportation duplicate request. And the other, the last item was the special improvement district budget approval. It's already in the budget. Just the way it works is the town collects the money from the businesses in the district and we pass it through to them. So we just need to make a note that need to have that resolution on there also. So that becomes 23-145. So can I have a motion to approve on the consent agenda 23-133 through 23-143, and then also 23-145, because we already did Cindy Burnham resolution, correct?
Mhm.
Is that clear?
That's correct.
All right, so can I have a motion to approve?
I'm sorry, that's one point of order. So 23-136, the large payment, are we pulling that and doing a roll call?
No, I just wanted to take a moment, I think, before to explain what it was to the public. You know,
Okay, so we're not doing the roll.
I don't think we need to do a roll call. We can include it in the agenda unless someone had a question about it.
No, I only mentioned it because you brought up the fact that I think Mr. Had,
Right.
made that statement and then you spoke about it, but we're not gonna do
I don't think we need to have a roll call.
that. Okay,
I'm
fine.
So can I have a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, discussion action. I don't think we have anything there, do we, Laura? Nope. All right, Mayor and council comments. Anyone want to start? You want to start, Angela, on, do you have any comments? Green,
No comments, Mayor. Thank you.
okay, Jacqueline?
I have no mayor, comments, Mayor, thank you.
No comments. Looking forward to Pride, looking forward to Juneteenth, liking the nice weather. Everybody make sure you're watering your flowers and whatnot. It hasn't been raining. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yes, Mayor, I do have a few comments. So you mentioned in your proclamation, fortunately, that there has been an increased, tolerance and acceptance of the LGBTQ community. However, there has also been a rise in violence against, due to homophobia and transphobia, particularly against the trans community. So I'm just asking everyone that if you hear anything, if you see anything, please speak up, speak out, be an ally and an advocate. And as you just heard Councilwoman Trignano mention, we are kicking off Pride Month tomorrow with Asbury Park Pride being this Sunday. So I would encourage everybody, to partake. It's a wonderful, wonderful day of celebration and freedom. If you wish for more information, you can visit jerseypride.org. And then also in Red Bank here, we have our Juneteenth celebration on June 18th at 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at Johnny Jazz Park. It will be the celebration of freedom, starting with a parade from Pilgrim Baptist Church to Johnny Jazz Park. The parade starts at 12:30. And if you would like any additional information on that event, redbankjuneteenth.com. Thank you.
No comments, Mayor.
Thanks, Mayor. The DPW Director Terrence Baldwin did a good job. Kudos to Terrence. The team was well organized. Department Public Works Week in Atlantic City last week. The theme of the conference was connecting the world to public works. And that ran from May 21 to the 27th. National Public Works Week. The American Public Works Association announced Connecting the World for Public Works as the theme for the 2023 National Public Works Week Conference. The conference illustrated how public works connects us all through infrastructure and service, enhancing the quality of life of the communities that these professionals serve. Terrence also reports the conference went really, really well. Staff members took classes on clean communities and grant processing and what the funding can be used for now and in the future. They did a class on snow plowing and safety measures. They did an ethics seminar in changing the culture in public works. I want to personally thank all of the DPU team for their contributions to the Memorial Day observance and for coordinating with Oscar and the Parks and Rec Department. The event went really well, and thanks to the buildings and ground staff who prepared Riverside Gardens, 51 Monmouth Street and Borough Hall for all three observances and ceremonies. The director also reports that all borough parks are up and running for the summer season. The sweeper is functioning on schedule and moving about town. The water department is addressing some ongoing issues. Sunset Avenue Recycling Center has had its hours adjusted to be open Tuesdays through Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. The recycling center is closed on Sundays and Mondays for maintenance. The upcoming season's special events are being addressed and planned. Oklahoma Fight Blessing is coming next month, along with Pride in the Park, as John mentioned, the Adopt Holiday Classic Car Show, concerts and movies in the park. And the team is ready for the events coming up. And the department is coordinating with River Center on issues and events being planned for the downtown business district. The senior center will be opening finally on June 9th. And Terrence and team are addressing and developing a landscape plan for the newly renovated center. Also, the DPU department has 2 new employees on board. They're working out very well. One's in the administrative office, and the other is in the Parks Division. Mr. Walton has been implementing the consultant's recommendations from the report. New vehicles have arrived or are being assigned to replace the ancient ones, and new equipment is being utilized in various divisions, with safety protocols being reviewed with the director and the supervisors. The Sunset landfill issue mentioned in the report is currently being addressed by the chief. I want to thank the DPU staff in its entirety and remind them that we are all very grateful to them for being the backbone of the borough in our parks, at our facilities, on our roads, in producing our water underground, in delivering our water and maintaining our sewer system. And at the senior center, Jackie is planning a huge event to reopen the beautifully refurbished senior center on June 9th. Come out and welcome the senior citizens back to their home away from home. I encourage all residents over the age of 60 to sign up and become members of the senior center and participate. It was in what was mentioned earlier, the junior senior programming that is coming down the pipe. Also, take a look at the beautiful landscaping job that former Council President Cindy Burnham did. It's really amazing. And Cindy, once again, thank you for all of your financial contributions and your labor that went into beautifying the riverfront for our seniors, the staff and visitors alike. The center is looking forward to donations, as mentioned at the last meeting. Laura will have that list published on the what's become the big June issue of Scuttlebutt. So if you want to donate, please email Jay Reynolds at redbanknj.org. And River Center, the new bollard covers are installed. The folks at River Center are happy that the orange barrels have been replaced with these new covers. Bob, in his most recent report in the Red Bank Beat, reports that a lot of exciting happenings are coming in the next few weeks. Please check out Red Bank Beat on the River Center website, redbank.org, and sign up for his newsletter. Thanks.
Thank you, Ed. I wanted to just mention a few things. The Rotary Club of Red Bank laid out all those flags in Riverside Gardens Park, and that came out really nice. I wanted to acknowledge them. I think you forgot to mention, John, the Pride event is June 10th in Red Bank.
In Red Bank.
Right, yeah, June 10th, okay. I got a bunch of phone calls and emails. Jimmy called me, Freddie called me. We got a bunch of emails. Some of them were to all the council, letting me know about issues in the borough. You know, like Jimmy said, the street needed to be swept over on Bridge. Someone wanted crosswalks repainted, maybe over on West. There was a bunch of issues. People parking the wrong way on Mechanic. I love getting those emails. I say, I'm not everywhere I can't be. I love that you're taking the time and the community is reaching out to us on the council to give us an opportunity to address these problems. Because, you know, I say it when I'm a contractor, please don't judge me on the problems that arise, judge me on the solutions that we come up with. So thank you again, everybody for participating and for letting us know when there's a problem so we can fix it. Open floor for, can I have a motion to, I mentioned that earlier, right? That the Juneteenth proclamation. I mentioned we were talking about the proclamations, but thank you. Can I have a motion to open the public questions and comments?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Suzanne Visconti, 25 Cedar Street. I was reading the article in Red Bank Green, Mayor, that you did about the future and what you learned from the last election and what you learned being a mayor for the few months and going forward. And that's, was very interesting. So I kind of have a challenge for you guys. Number one, right now, we do not require our committees to, hand in minutes and meetings and with minutes. So I would really like to get that to codify any actions, because not everyone can be in every committee meeting. And it'd be nice to be able to overact something or to have it out there like we have minutes for all the other boards that post. And they're not Zoom. So even if you wanted to learn about Parks and Rec or other groups, that would be a great way to extend some communication. Number two, I would also be interested to see how you be reappointing or appointing people to these boards. I think change is good, and it's amazing all the talent that this town has. There's a woman on the library board who is very a big one of the assistant directors or something of the whole Ocean County Library. So her talent and her knowledge is priceless being on the library board. So I'm curious to see if, because I'm on it, and I don't even know how I got on it. I just got an email saying, hey, you want to do this? And I said, all right, that sounds interesting. So to have some kind of transparency, because a lot of people are interested, you might not get involved in all the politics and that nonsense, but might be retired or have really good knowledge or professional experience. It would add to all these different boards that are being reseated. So I suggest possibly having an open application process. Some people might not know, hey, this is how you get on the planning board or the zoning board or all the other boards that are open. I know a few are not being reseated because of, I guess, the rules, like the library trustee board is one of them. But I think that would be adding an opportunity for people who don't know, but would be very talented and have bring a lot of experience to the town. And I think that's it. I appreciate you saying what you said about having people reach out to you, which is good, because I think that's where it's kind of sad and ironic that when people always come to the last meeting to want to give more opinion or be able to readdress an issue where, like tonight, we brought it up at least 3, if not 4 times about what happened on South Street over a couple of months, where the public did have an opportunity to speak, and not to regurgitate the many meetings. Yes, right. But not to regurgitate all the conversations we had about Airbnb and pot situation. I think that people seem to only really get involved when it directly affects them. But being open and giving people that feeling you guys are approachable might add more ability for people to speak up. And I think I can speak for like Ben and Barbara Boas and Steve. We used to be, and Cindy, we used to be the only ones in the audience. I've been coming for 15 years, Ben more than I know the rest has definitely been. It was only like 4 of us here, maybe 5 if you had John Ward and another older reporter who passed away. So it's kind of cool to see that more people are getting involved. But I guess people need to be listened to and feel that they can come and be heard, not just yes to death. So I appreciate it. I'm interested to see what the future has.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say quickly, Mayor, when we were forming the now No More Redevelopment Agency, that was my suggestion, to have it open to the public for anybody who wanted to submit. I don't think it would be too much to ask the clerk to put a notice on the website, as well as doing a civic alert out that if anybody's interested in submitting their resume or any information about themselves, a quick Google Doc, we've done it in the past, and just naming the specific boards that are open for appointment, that could be doable.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm texting other hand up.
Good evening. Cindy Burnham, 71 Wallace Street. Thank you for acknowledging my efforts to beautify and make usable the backyard that was never usable in the senior center. It took a village to save the senior center, and it takes a village to fix it up and make it homey on the inside and give it activities, because not only do we have seniors that of all ages and of all abilities. You know, we have the seniors that like to come and have lunch and sit inside, and then we have the baby boomers who I am, the Hills are, there's a lot of us, there's a ton of us. And we like to bike and kayak and garden and things like that, and shuffleboard and horseshoes and things like that. So we're working on those kinds of things. We didn't cut down anything, and I discussed this with the chief. You know, I did it all right. I got the chief and the DPW director and the director of senior citizens. So I told them all what we were doing. We didn't cut down anything. I see this as a nature preserve almost. I mean, there's woodchucks and deer and real logs that grow real things that have real creatures living in them. And it's very interesting. When I was on council in 2013 to 2016, I was the liaison of the senior center, and you couldn't even see the river. We were constantly bugging DPW to, you know, cut. And they cut everything down, but they just left it there. And that was what we cleaned up. But we hope to have many more activities for active seniors like myself. And my hope is, you know, now that the majority has started the whole Rossi deal and getting it on the Rossi, that the new council will continue to move forward so that this land stays protected and that, you know, everybody can use it. Because it's the only access to the swimming river. So anyway, thank you for the acknowledgement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hill, 64 McLaren. I just want to thank and echo Suzanne Viscomi's comments about the various boards and committees that we have here in Red Bank. I was really amazed at that so many people who are on these boards in there forever. And I think it would be great for our community, for people who might want to turn, who want to volunteer their time, want to do good in this town. Thank you, Councilmember Triviano, for bringing up the idea of having, you know, just saying these are the committees that have vacancies. And if you're interested, submit an application or your resume or whatever. But I really sincerely hope that there will be some new representation, that people who may have been on some of these committees and boards for a really long time, maybe it's time for them to step back, time for some other folks to have a chance to help our community. I think that would be great. And again, thank you so much, Suzanne, because she has been, you know, championing this for months and months and probably much longer than that. But I think this is a great idea, and I do hope that the new council will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, great.
Hill Box 2074, Freddie Boynton. This here, for the holiday on the west side, there was a lot of brush out. And I mentioned it to some of the farmers, and it's still out. Some people was very upset that it was out while everybody goes to Atlantic City and left Red Bank like this on the west side with brush and stuff out. A lot of people was very upset that their company couldn't park in front of their house on their streets, and some of it is still out on the streets that ain't even been picked up. So I just look at it like people who goes down to Atlantic City and whatnot, you should take care of Red Bank before they go out of town. The other thing is Count Basie Park. Is there any way that y'all can put cameras or something down there? Because got kids climbing up on trailers, climbing up on the hood. And I'm not sure, but I think the kid got hurt a couple of years ago down there. fell off of that trailer down there. And you got adults urine when you come in off of Dr. Parker Boulevard. Right there, I think it should be a little porta john put up that end. But I got pictures of it. Grown man, while the kids playing out there in the field, standing right over there urine. Got it on my phone right now. You know, and I think that need to be addressed. The other thing is, this is my opinion, that we need to work together, but we're not working together on a lot of these issues in this town. And it seems like we come down here and we talk about it, nothing get done, nothing getting done. And I've been asking questions about where's this $200-something went that Riverview paid. Nobody answered the questions. Nobody know nothing about it. So this is my opinion. Thank you for the new people who's coming in office. We need to have somebody to come in here and oversee these books, see where this money been going, see if it's been spent right, this and that. They need to have an order come in here. That way, whoever been using mis funds or this money and whatnot in this town should be held liable and accountable. Thank you.
Freddie, I just wanted to let you know, only 4 people from Public Works went to the conference.
I found that out, but I'm not here to criticize you or nothing, but you bought all new trucks. I ain't gonna say all new trucks. And they're all riding around in town with nothing on them. And the ones who went down there, like the ones who was here, they should have picked the brush up. That's my opinion. Because if I was a foreman, which I was in sanitation, I made sure if I go on a vacation or either go somewhere, all the garbage is picked up on the west side or either whatever side we're on, that garbage is picked up. We was told to pick it up and clear it. It should be like that right now. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you. Anyone else have a comment? Can I have anyone online? I remember. All right. Can I have a motion to close the public comment?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
See you in 2 weeks, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Hey, Laura.